Good evening. I would like to welcome you to the City Council meeting of the City of Lenoir for Tuesday, May the 1st, 2018. We welcome you here. We're back in the historic old chambers of City Hall because the election is going on and of course around the county, and they're using the city county chambers. So glad to have you with us back at City Hall tonight. Before we start with our moment of silence and then remain standing for our pledge of allegiance, I would like to mention a couple of things. Certainly keep Reverend Ike Perkins, Councilmember Ike Perkins, in your thoughts and prayers as he continues to recover from knee surgery. He seems to be doing well. I've talked to him. He's getting weighted on hand and foot, I think, and he's enjoying that. It won't last too much longer, I'm sure, but he seems to be doing better and working on getting back as quick as he can to move. And of course, Rex Cannon, Shirley's husband, please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. They had some appointments today, and hopefully things are beginning to move along better. So please continue to pray for them. We also would like to think about one of our icons here in Caldwell County. Pop Ferguson passed away either last night or this morning. You know, Pop was well known for music here in our county for many years. Pop was in his 90s, and I'm not sure how old exactly, what 90 he was, but always enjoyed hearing Pop play and be a part of music here in our city. So please keep the Ferguson family in your thoughts and prayers also. All right, if we will, let's please go now to our moment of silence and our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go down for some proclamations and special recognitions this evening, I would like to say a big thank you to all of our city staff for a great weekend. The North Carolina Gravity Games, the 8th one, was a great success again in our city. Thank you all for all of your hard work. Every department, fire, police, public utilities, public works, recreation, and of course our Main Street and all that Kaylin, you and Kyle did to put it all together. And our thanks to Google and all their fine staff. It was a great event. The Feet Off the Street was a great addition this year to the Science Street and the other things, the races that we already have, and I think people really enjoyed it. Beautiful weather, we couldn't ask for better. We were competing against the Wilkesboro Fest, and that's always a tough thing to do, so we'll have to take a look. We talked to Google about, let's look at maybe switching a little bit of weekend there to see if we could have our own weekend on it. So, but anyway, thank you for all you did and put. I know there was, Kaylin sent me her steps of how many steps she made during the time, and it made me tired looking at it. So, and I know for my own self, walking up down the street, it's a tough thing, but it was really a lot of fun. Great time, great success. Well, over 60 teams were here to race, which is just about right, and I think they're finally getting it where they want it to be in our city. So again, thank you very much. Also during that, the police and the fire raced again, the featured race. 3 races, 2 out of 3 went to the fire department. One, and of course the big quote of the day was they won by a hair. We love it. Don't laugh.
That's perfect.
We also said that we had to get Chief Briscoe to retire before the fire department could win again. So I heard that too. So, you know, it's one of those things, but it was fun. And thank you guys for doing that. And that makes it really a lot of fun for everybody with you guys participating in that. So, okay, we got some special recognitions we got to do. And first one is to celebrate Drinking Water Week. How about that? On behalf of the City Council, we're going to present that, and I'll ask our Public Utilities Director, Radford Thomas, if he will come forward. And we'll be proclaiming the week of May 6th through the 12th as Celebrate Drinking Water Week throughout the city of Lenoir. Turn those bottles down. We don't want anybody to see that, but anyway, Radford, thank you for all your department does in keeping great drinking water for this city. And I'll present this to you. Whereas water is our most valuable natural resource, and whereas only tap water delivers public health protection, fire protection, support for our economy, and the quality of life we enjoy. And whereas any measure of a successful society, low mortality rates,
We're done.
Thank you, and good night. We're not adding that kind of stuff to the water.
Man, low mortality rates, economic growth and diversity, productivity and public safety are in some way related to access to safe water. And whereas we are all stewards of the water infrastructure upon which future generations depend. And whereas each citizen of the city of Lenoir and Caldwell County is called upon to help protect our source waters from pollution, to practice water conservation, and to get involved in local water issues by getting to know their water and getting to know it very closely. Now, therefore, it be it resolved that by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor and on behalf of the city council, to hereby proclaim the week of May 6th through the 12th, 2018 is Celebrate Drinking Water Week throughout the city of Lenoir and Caldwell County. Bradford, thank you for all you do to make it great morale for drinking water.
Innocent water.
That's right.
Anything you want to add?
Well, I just, real quick, we have a lot of folks that work really hard every day. Kevin and his staff at the water plant, the guys that are out in the field working on water lines and reading meters, and even the folks at the wastewater plant. If you look at it full cycle, you know, we're doing all those things that we can do to try to make sure that the water we put back into our streams is as clean as it can be, and the water that we're putting into our distribution system is the best quality that we can produce. And they all do a lot of really hard work every day, and they really make me look good. And we're going to do a little water 101 session so we can figure out this morality thing. You know, we get accused of adding a lot of things to the water. I'm not sure what it would take to do so, but we're not doing it. So anyway, thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Oh, me. Let's try this one different this time. How about that? Next, we would like to recognize National Public Works Week. And on behalf of the City Council, I would like for Jerry Wright, our Public Works Director, to come forward as we'll be proclaiming the week of May 20th through 26th as National Public Works Week throughout the city of Lenoir and Caldwell County.
Mr. Mayor, will it be all right if my division superintendent join me?
Please do. Love to have them.
It's a sharp bunch.
Yes, it is. Good. Let me read this to you guys. And whereas public works infrastructure, facilities, and services are of vital importance to the health, safety, and well-being of the people of this nation. And whereas such facilities and service could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, engineers, and administrators representing federal, state, and local units of government who are responsible for and must design, build, operate, and maintain the transportation and refuse disposal systems public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential to serve our citizens. And whereas public works professionals provide critical response capabilities, experience, and support to all levels of government in times of natural and man-made disasters. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens and civic leaders of this country to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest in the public works needs and programs of the respective communities. Now, therefore, I, as mayor, on behalf of our Lenoir City Council, urge all citizens to join with representatives of governmental agencies and the American Public Works Association in proclaiming the week of May 20th through May 26th as National Public Works Week, and activities and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, and administrators, and to recognize the substantial contributions they have made to our natural health and welfare. Gentlemen, thank you. We certainly appreciate everything you've done. Thank you. You guys hold that in there, and we'll all come on in here together.
Yeah, squeeze in here. We like each other.
Step up toward me just a little bit.
With the short people up
JR, you want to go something else?
All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Jared.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you, Gary.
Council, thank you so much for recognizing National Public Works Week. We're excited about that week and an opportunity to celebrate our staff and all the great things they do. Want to share a quick story going back to Gravity Games and how we contributed a lot during that event and how it was so successful. As the event was winding down, we were trying to get streets open back up. And I know some of the other event coordinators, they were taking their time getting the tents down, and we were just really worried about opening those streets back up because we did have a couple of errant cars cut through barricades. So the straw, the 700 bales of straw that was lining the racetrack, some of my staff ended up picking up that straw. Well, I had a sanitation worker who was on trash detail, and after he got done with that, we were about 2/3 of the way through the straw. He came and joined us and was picking up 2 bales in each hand, just really loading it up, knocking it out. Really impressive. And I thanked him. I said, I really appreciate that. You didn't have to do this. And he looked at me and he said, we're a team. It's what we do. And that just, that said it all. That said it all about the Public Works Department. That rings true across all of our divisions. And the guys have left, but I did want to introduce all of them. Just stand up when I call your name. Tim Sprouse with Vehicle Services, Shane Barrier with Sanitation, Tracy Huffman, Streets, Gerald Goforth with Building Maintenance, and Terrence Banner with Cemeteries. And we really appreciate it and look forward to National Public Works Week. Thank you. Thank you.
And as Ben said earlier when Jerry got here, we fully expect the breakfast to go on, so we all want to be there to eat. So we'll look forward to that.
Mayor, I was thinking, as we look out over this crowd, Jared, your group, more than any other, works across departmentalized.
They do.
And they do so much for every department.
We like to be a little bit of that glue that holds things together.
We certainly appreciate that, because they do a great job.
Thank you.
We've often called your people that. You are the glue. We thank you very much. Thank you, Jared. Our next is special recognition, our Police Officers Memorial Week. And I would like for Chief Chief Scott Brown, Chief of Police, to come up, and we will read this proclamation. And if I can get it loose here. I think I opened both of them. Proclamation in recognition of Peace Officers Memorial Week, which will be May 13th through the 19th. We're going to have a lot of weeks here following in a row, aren't we? Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the law enforcement agency of the Lenoir Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of those inside the city of Lenoir. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the law enforcement agency of the Lenore Police Department unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now therefore be it resolved that I, as mayor, and on behalf of the city council of the city of Lenore, do hereby proclaim and call upon all citizens of Lenore and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 13th through May 19th, 2018 as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all of our people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers, and past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in so doing have established for themselves an inevitable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. And others, furthermore, we'll skip that one part of it. But thank you so much, Chief.
Thank
We appreciate it. Let's get a John, then I'll let you.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Mayor, council, I do appreciate this. I learned something tonight. If we could get Radford to improve the morality rate, we wouldn't have to pay so much for police. But
There was an underlying current.
I do appreciate this. It's something you guys do for us every year, and it's something that our troops appreciate. This one is a little bit more special to me. This will be my last one as your police chief. Listening to Jared talking about the team and Radford and whew, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to represent these men and women in uniform and to be a part of this team. I just can't thank you enough, and I'll stop there before I love you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. Stay with me. Let me say this, we do appreciate what you guys do every day. You protect us, and there's just not words that we can say how much it means to what happened. I know today we had an incident at Collinsville School out in the county. We never know when something could happen. Nothing did, thank goodness, but thank goodness we had people that come out, get there, resource officers who are there to help, and we're training people, we're working with them every way we can to help prevent anything happening. And we hope that will always be the case. But thank you for what you do. Let's do one more. This is a recognition for Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month, and we'll be presenting that again to Chief Brown. Let me read that. This is, whereas in the growth and popularity of motorcycle riding and touring combined with the many scenic destinations in our state and the year-long riding season have led to North Carolina having one of the largest populations of motorcycle enthusiasts in the nation. And whereas more and more residents of the city of Lenore are taking up this mode of transportation to commute to and from their places of employment, and whereas many motorcyclists undergo specialized training by attending professionally taught motorcycle operator training courses with emphasis on skills, traffic laws, and proper safety equipment. And whereas it is the responsibility of all motorists to be aware of motorcyclists and extend to them the same courtesy as any other vehicles on our roadways. Now therefore it be resolved that I, as mayor, and on behalf of the Lenore City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month throughout the city of Lenore. Chief, it's strange. We just had one of our brothers was killed on a motorcycle in a very terrible accident. Gary Sanders, one of our firemen. So it's great that we make this awareness, let people know, be careful and watch out for people who are riding, because they have as much right to be there as any of us do. So we always want to make it noticed and take care of. How about you, if you have anything to add to that?
The main thing there, obviously we're all thinking about Gary and his family today. Just look twice. It's so hard to see these motorcyclists, and I think they go out of their way to try to be safe. And the operation of their vehicles, we owe it to them to look twice. Just look twice.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Can we get a picture of that one?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do one more.
I don't know if it's the right one.
But it's all right.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Yes, sir. thank you guys again, and we appreciate all that you do for our city. All right, we'll move on then to matters that are scheduled tonight for public hearing. We have an amendment to the Lenore City Code, Appendix A, Article 4, Manufactured Homes. This hearing was to consider amending the Lenore City Code, Appendix A, Article 4, as relating to manufactured home regulations and is as submitted. Planning Board and Planning Staff recommend approval of the proposed ordinance with the recommended changes. I will open the public hearing, and I first will ask our Director of Planning, Jenny Wheelock, to make any comments that you would like.
Great, thanks. So, too much time here. I just wanted to sort of walk you through the ordinance that's before you, kind of explain why we're looking at this, and then if you've got any questions for me, I'm happy to try to clarify what we're talking about. Our code has design standards for manufactured houses, and I think it makes sense to have design standards for manufactured houses. It's one of the few residential land use types in North Carolina we're allowed to regulate design standards on. But I've had several permits come through over the past couple of years where they just run up against these standards in a way that makes me feel like I'm not really protecting any kind of real public purpose in enforcing them. And whenever that starts to happen and the Board of Adjustment is finding hardships for variances, I like to take a look at the ordinance and make sure we're regulating the way we need to be. So this applies only in zoning districts where mobile homes are already allowed. We already prohibit single wides pretty much everywhere except in parks. Wouldn't expand where these are allowed to go. That applies to double wide manufactured homes. These metal on metal trailers that you see around that are kind of looking kind of run down, those are all non-conforming. New units like that cannot be placed in the city, and this would not open up the any zoning for those. So those are some concerns the planning board have. If we're going to change this, are we going to see a new wave of manufactured housing come in a way that will be detrimental to our community? I think the answer is no, and I think the planning board in researching this has really done you all a favor because they spent a lot of time. We went to Clayton Homes to look at really what's available today, construction standards. We workshopped this ordinance, and then they gave me a bunch of changes. I came back with another version of it. So I'm pretty happy with what's before you. The 4 things it proposes to change is right now we require that manufactured houses be a minimum size. People are wanting smaller houses, and the lots available that are zoned for these tend to be smaller lots. And so we have people running up with setback encroachment problems. So we're recommending to get rid of the minimum size and just simply stick with the standard of a double wide so that some of the smaller models could be placed on lots where it's properly zoned. The other change is right now the code requires that the long end of the home be oriented parallel to the street. But there are all these new mobile home types out there where they actually are imploded, and it actually fits better into these traditional concepts. So to me, this is a requirement for worse design. So I think that's silly. I'd like to just say the front door should face the street. That's really the intent of this regulation. We have another requirement that you have a 75 square foot deck on your mobile home, but we do not require that it be in the front. I mean, you could build it in the back, and so it kind of seems like this requirement for this private improvement that really maybe doesn't impact even what it looks like. As the planning board looked at these, we found that the one overwhelming design feature that made houses of this type stand out as being more attractive or look more like a site-built home was a front gabled front porch. And so we actually priced out what the cost difference between this 75 square foot deck requirement compared to a smaller front gabled front porch requirement would be if we were to sort of do a little trade. It came up about $500 more for the roofed deck, for the roofed porch. For us, the trade-off was if we're opening up more lots and more infill areas where they were too small before, but maybe we can put this other housing type on, it kind of made sense on the flip side to require a design standard that really had a true link to helping these fit into the neighborhood and protect property values. So that's the recommendation before you, to add this requirement for the covered front porch in lieu of a requirement for a 75 square foot deck. So just shifting around that a little bit. The last thing is that in 2013, or I guess it was 2014, when we came through and did the North Main overlay district to implement the recommendations for the North Main small area plan, there were a host of design standards that we were requiring for new residential construction. And as a part of that, at that time, I recommended that we eliminate mobile homes in that overlay district because of these rules of the minimum size and the orientation. It just didn't seem like those fit with our design standards. Since then, the state has taken away local government's ability to regulate residential design. And so what we have left is a lot of the rules that are applicable in the North Main district don't apply anymore. We can't enforce them. But we have this prohibition against mobile homes, and now we're looking at amending the rules that would actually allow them to be more compatible. So my recommendation is that we simply remove the prohibition in the overlay district, go back to where the zoning would allow them. They can go in if they can meet these the standards. And then we may get some more infill development, because I have had to turn down a couple of permits for people that want to put in manufactured housing on maybe a lot that became vacant through demolition or something like that. So that's the recommendation before you. I feel like that this would put another tool in my community development toolbox, that as we work with folks to try to say, look, your house is burned out, it needs to be demolished, it's dilapidated. They say, well, what can I do with my land? These manufactured houses on the market today, I mean, people are even able to finance them with land with, 20 and 30-year mortgages. And that becomes a real avenue to putting people back in neighborhoods. And so that's what I really think this is a good thing, to just give people more tools to be able to put people back in good housing. I'm happy to answer any questions, or if there's anybody no, that looks like our folks. So.
Jenny, I have one question.
Uh-huh.
In the section that was speaking of the types of manufactured homes allowed,
Mm-hmm.
it leaned towards new construction, new manufactured homes, but in one of those areas, it was speaking of double wides constructed after 1976 could replace an existing unit.
Yes.
Why the 1976?
So in 1976, the federal government adopted standards for manufactured housing. And before that, there was never any kind of standard. So it's kind of like, it's the only federal building code, basically. And as you hear the HUD code. And so it's sort of a bright line test in ordinances that are looking to allow these types of houses, but not allow anything. That 1976 cutoff is pretty common, and the courts have upheld that we can do that. There has been some court cases that have thrown out ordinances that just said they have to be 10 years or newer or something like that. So you can't say, only new manufactured houses. We're not allowed to say that, but 76 is that cutoff. So that's where that comes from.
But aren't we looking at a 40-year-old unit here? Built under those
Right.
metal that you were speaking of earlier.
All of those are going to be pre-76. Yeah. So there's some provisions for if you had one of those pre-1976 homes and it was in the right zoning district in Lenoir, you may be able to upgrade that home with a newer model. So there's some allowances. It's one of the only ways you can put a new single wide in. All of that wouldn't change with what's before you. But yeah, it would allow for the used, if you purchased a used double wide that was manufactured after 1976, I mean, maybe it was manufactured in 1990, you would still be able to place that in Lenoir if you had a properly zoned lot and you could meet these standards.
But there would be no single wide replacements allowed?
That's only in parks, yep, and a few limited instances. But that's how the existing regulations are, and that really isn't proposed to change as a part of this.
Any other questions?
How many of these requests do you think passes for
I mean, it's not huge numbers because I haven't had huge numbers of any type of residential housing requests. I would say that it's upticked in the past 2 years. I've denied or told people, at least 3 or 4 people that have come in, and I've just been like, no, I'm sorry, you just can't do this. And then we've taken 2 more to the Board of Adjustment for variances for these specific sections, and those cases would not have required a variance now if we had these rules. So it's not a ton, but we probably haven't had that many site-built homes either. I think it's picking up, and so I think now's the time to do this.
It's a great time to clean it up, at least we have some structure. Moving forward, thinking, should we have people that we develop these areas where we have some moms and parents and fathers. So, great work, man, you guys spent a lot of time on it.
And we did a lot, I tried to do a lot of research because I think the initial reaction is, but these things depreciate really quickly or they'll be bad for property values. And I could not find anything that was really credible that would prove that. I found a lot that sort of said, look, these are like any other house. How they're maintained matters and where they're located matters. So if you put one in a neighborhood that's not really that high valued and it doesn't retain its value and it's not well maintained, yeah, it'll probably depreciate pretty quickly. If you take care of it and the rest of the property values stay stable, then it'll probably appreciate like a site-built home. So I'm pretty comfortable.
I think most of the people who never lived in one of those types of homes kind of have a negative stereotype on it. And with all the research that you've done, this needs is kind of poking around. The technology and everything has gotten these homes to be a lot more attractive and a lot more. And at a time where we need affordable housing and this looks good, and, you know, it's better than having a vacant lot.
That's how me and my staff feel, and I think that's where the planning board was coming from at the end.
This is my last question. Okay, there's 2. How many lots now do you think we have? It could be either for this type of home or, I mean, in the city, you may already know the answer. How many lots are available to accommodate this type or any infill regular?
I mean, I don't know the answer off the top of my head. It would be limited to those zoning districts, and there was a map in your packet that kind of shows where they are. But just thinking in some of my core neighborhoods right around downtown where we've had a lot of demos, I mean, we easily have 40 or 50 lots throughout the city. Now, whether or not those would all be suitable for the placement of these, I don't know. You know, the topography matters. It's not just that maybe they were too small. So, but I would say you would probably have at least a dozen really good lots. Some of the lots that the city owns right now from various foreclosures, you know, this may be a nice way to start trying to divest ourselves of some of that and have a real path forward to doing something with them.
Okay, this is it, I'm sorry. The process is the same process to do this, to bring the manufactured home the same as what is the process of how we do this?
You would come through my department for a zoning permit. We would check your setbacks, check the design, make sure it was meeting, you know, the size, the length or width and the porch or whatever on there. And then you go through building inspections, but they're pretty much just doing foundation inspections because it comes pre-built to the site. So it's a little different than like, say, a modular where you would actually kind of, they would still inspect it as far as how it was put together. But it's a by right permit.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I guess if anyone after this meeting has questions or has interest, they may reach out for instructions or steps to that should be something that
Absolutely. Yep. All of our contact information is on the website, and we'll. Yep. Yep. It would just be like any other by right project.
Okay, there's no other questions. Thank you, Jen.
All right. Thanks.
Appreciate all your work and your staff and Shane Wolf.
The planning board really deserves a lot of credit on this. I think your initial reaction is kind of, well, we really like site built homes, we like the design standards
Sure.
and stuff. And sure, me too.
Yeah.
But they really fought hard on this one and really did their homework. So I think y'all should be proud of the planning board.
Yeah, good, thank you. We're still in the public hearing section. Anyone else that would like to address the council concerning this? If not, we'll close the public hearing, turn it over to city council for any action, discussion. We did have some question about how much this had been talked about, and we do have several articles that Virginia wrote back in March 2nd and March 27th. There were 2 articles that appeared concerning Lenore mobile home rules changing and Lenore weighing in on the options of mobile homes. So there has been other information that has been out and talked about before.
I had reservations with this ordinance at first, but I think that these guys have done their homework. The need, we talk over and over at every single meeting we go to about housing at every level. And so I think it's good. I think we need to, I think this is a good approach, and we've got to start somewhere. I think this is a good way to take care of some of these vacant lots. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Willis that we approve the amendment to the Lenore City Code, Appendix A, Article 4, concerning manufactured homes. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Carries unanimously. Tonight, that would be 6-0. Thank you again for all your work on that. We do appreciate it. We'll move on then to consent agenda items, and tonight that would consist of minutes of our Committee of the Whole budget work session on Tuesday, March 27th, 2018. Minutes from our City Council meeting of Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018. Minutes from, which is approval of our closed session minutes of the City Council meeting of Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018. And they were reviewed by the City Attorney, the City Manager, and the City Council. And item D are the minutes of the City Council meeting of Tuesday, April 17th, 2018. Items E, F, G, and H are the proclamations that we discussed or presented tonight to different parts of our city. So I won't read all those. But that's the items on the consent agenda items. Any discussion or question? Or not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would recommend we approve all those consent agenda items as submitted.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Stevens to approve the consent agenda item A through H as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much for that. We'll now move on to any requests and petitions of any citizens. I think most everyone here is our staff except Virginia, and she's part-time staff, so. So we appreciate that. And seeing no one, we'll move on then. We have no reports of our boards and commissions this evening, so we'll move on to the report and recommendations of the city manager, Mr. Hildebrand.
Mayor, Council, you have before you tonight several items for information. The first will be the Foothills Regional Airport Authority will meet tomorrow, May 2nd at noon, and that'll be held at the airport. The mayor's prayer breakfast will be held on Thursday. It's National Day of Prayer, and you want to go back and do a promo real quick for those?
Yes, got plenty of tickets still if you'd like to, attend. But yeah, we're looking forward to that. For the National Day of Prayer, we have Mr. John Cooper, owner of Mass General Store, will be here to talk about his life and building the Mass General Store. Mr. Cooper's always has been very involved in the Appalachian Theater in downtown Boone and the remodeling and revitalization of that project. Very nice. If you haven't been to Boone to see it on King Street, you should. It's very nice what they're doing. We want to hear about some of the things, what they're doing. We have a great old theater here. We'd love to see that happen for us too, so maybe we'll get some ideas and thoughts. But I really appreciated he would come down and join us for this. And ministers will be there, of course, to pray for our local and state and federal governments and our nonprofits that we're very proud of all that they do in our city and county. So that will be, again, May the 3rd at 8 o'clock, First Baptist Church dining room. Great breakfast will be provided there for you, so come out and join us for that.
Tickets are $10. You can get those in City Hall.
Thank you.
The annual senior games will be held on Friday, May 4th, and that'll be held at the Aquatic and Fitness Center. We have a cruising scheduled for Saturday, May 5th. That begins at 4 o'clock in downtown Lenoir. The 2018 annual Caldwell is hiring event will be held on Monday, May 7th from 9 to 1 p.m. That's going to be held at the J.U. Broyhill Civic Center. And Mr. Willis, do you want to plug that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there are actually over 2,000 jobs, over 50 employees that'll be there, employers that will be there. Hopefully, those looking for a job, if you still need a job or looking to improve your current situation, be there Monday morning, 9 to 1.
Thank you. The Caldwell County Economic Development Commission will meet on Tuesday, May 8th at 8 o'clock, and that'll be held over at the J.U. Broyhill Civic Center. Lenoir Business Advisory Board will meet on Thursday, May 10th, 6 o'clock, 3rd floor City Hall. The Rotary Cycle to Serve event will be held on Saturday, May 12th, beginning at 8:30 a.m. in downtown Lenoir. The City County Service Committee will meet on Monday, May 14th at 11:45 a.m. and that'll be held at the college. As we talked about earlier, Peace Officer Memorial Day will be observed on Tuesday, May 15th. And Chief, do you know there's a ceremony for that?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock over
First Baptist
Church.
Thank you.
A budget work session is scheduled for Thursday, May 17th at 6 p.m. That'll be held here at City Hall, 3rd floor. And the last thing, I'd just like to echo the mayor's comments about the city staff. They do a wonderful job each and every day, and we work as a team. And that was evident Saturday, but that's evident every day. And just want to say thank you for that. They do provide service beyond measure. So with that, that's all I have.
One other thing coming up Monday, Jenny, you want to mention the historic preservation? I know it's for a couple of the neighborhoods, and that's Monday, May 7th, if you want to mention that.
Okay, Monday, May 7th, 5:30 p.m., First Baptist Church. We're going to have Annie McDonald with SHPO here presenting information on the residential properties that were study listed as a part of the historical survey that we had going on. So no teeth, no rules, no control over what they can do on their property, but some opportunities there. So 2 neighborhoods, Mayhill Park and Fairfield. So the area kind of around Norwood Street and Highland Avenue, for those of you unfamiliar, that's Mayhill Park, and then the area around Bell Street, Maple Drive, kind of north of Fairfield Chair is Fairfield. And those 2 neighborhoods and a handful of individual properties were study listed, which is a pretty cool thing. So come out Monday night if you want to learn more about that.
And all the council is invited if they would like to be there for that at First Baptist Church at 5:30.
5:30.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Nothing for any action tonight, right?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney, anything?
No, sir.
Okay. I do have a couple of recommendations for you for, one is a reappointment to the Foothills Regional Airport Authority. I did mention this at our last meeting in April that Mr. Charles Thomas would recommend he be reappointed to serve a 2-year term on the Airport Board Authority. Mr. Thomas has served for many years, done a great job, very familiar with the airport and its workings. He is a pilot and has owned a plane, and so he knows a lot about that part. He's been a great addition as representing us here in the city to that board. So I would make a recommendation that he be reappointed.
I've served with Charles on that board in the past. I'd like to make a recommendation he be approved.
Okay. Motion is made by Councilmember Purdue that he be reappointed for that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you. And I would notify you of some new board appointments that will make a recommendation to you tonight. Then we will bring it back up for approval at our May 15th City Council meeting. That would be for a seat on the Lenoir Business Advisory Board. This is Jennifer Endicott to a term on that. Jennifer is an business owner in downtown Lenoir on Main Street. Has taken a very, very active role since she has come to Lenoir and been a part of our Main Street program and is active with the Business Advisory Board. She's attended conferences. She's done a lot of things. I think she would be a great addition to that. And to our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Mr. Darrell Lipford, for a term on that. Mr. Lipford grew up here, was one of our fine athletes that graduated here in Caldwell County, and he's just a great old man. I better not say young man. He's a little bit younger than me, so he's not old,
He's a
but
young
he's a young man. But I think Darrell would be a great addition to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and to the Planning Board, Mr. Larry Smith, Reverend Smith. As you know, is very active in our city. He's a chaplain for our police department, and I think he would be a great addition to our planning board. And we have discussed all of these with our staff liaisons that are part of these boards. So make those three as recommendations to you. We'll bring them up again for approval, hopefully at the May 15th City Council meeting. Okay, anything from any of our council members tonight? If not, we'll get you out before you said. Not, we stand adjourned.
And Jen,
All right, good. Now, we'll adjourn.
Chair, now.